I was 16, barefoot, crying outside the house I grew up in, and my father slammed the door in my face. Now, 30 years later, my stepsister sends me an email. They know the truth. They want to apologize. You know what I told them? Nothing. I lost my mother when I was 12, and she didn't just pass away. She disappeared from my world in pieces. First it was her energy, then her laughter, then her body. Breast cancer stripped her down until there was nothing left but a quiet goodbye in a house that echoed in all the wrong ways. After the funeral, the world became grayscale, and all that was left was me and my dad, two shadows trying to exist in the same space without knowing how. He didn't talk about her much, and neither did I. We just moved forward, side by side. Not closer, just forward. When I was 14, everything changed again. My dad remarried. Her name was Ashley. She was warm, polite, and came with two kids of her own, Mark, the same age as me, and Emily, who was a couple years younger. We all moved in together like one big, blended family sitcom. But reality doesn't follow scripts. I got along with Ashley well enough. She tried. Emily was quiet and kind. But Mark? Mark hated me from the second I walked in. He acted like I was the outsider, like I was invading his space, and no matter what I did, he made sure I knew it. Every week we fought. Not always with fists, but with snide comments, silent stares, and that smug tone of his that made your skin crawl. The worst part? My dad always took his side. Cut him some slack, he'd say. He's had it rough. He's just trying to adjust. Like I wasn't adjusting too. Like I hadn't buried my mom 2 years earlier. I swallowed my anger, buried it somewhere deep, told myself it wasn't worth the war. But the thing about burying things is, they don't stay down forever. Then came Lisa. I was 15. She was the light in a tunnel I didn't even realize I was trapped in. Smart, funny, curious about the world. She was the kind of person who made you feel safe in your own skin. We weren't serious by teenage standards, but to me, she was everything. And Mark? Mark couldn't stand it. I didn't know at the time that he liked her too, but I should have known. The glares, the mocking, the sudden passive-aggressive remarks. One night, out of nowhere, he started a fight in the backyard, said I was stealing what wasn't mine. When Dad pulled us apart, he looked at me like I was the aggressor, like I was the one tearing this family apart. That night, something shifted. Mark didn't just want to hurt me, he wanted to erase me. And soon he would. The trap was laid just after I turned 16. Ashley was putting away laundry in my room, something she rarely did, and suddenly screamed my name like the house was on fire. Lisa was over that day. We both rushed upstairs, expecting a flood or maybe a broken window. Instead, Ashley was holding a handful of underwear. Emily's underwear. She held them up like evidence in a courtroom, accusing me of hiding them in my drawer. I froze. I had no idea how they got there. No words, no defense. But none of it mattered. Because in that one moment, every lie Mark had ever whispered suddenly made sense to them. He told them he'd caught me staring at Emily, said I was creepy, even claimed I once said I wanted to marry her. It was so absurd, so vile, and yet they all believed it. Lisa slapped me across the face, called me disgusting, walked out. My dad grabbed my arm and dragged me to the front door. I'm not going to let a perv live under my roof. That's what he said. He didn't ask questions. He didn't give me a chance. He opened the door and threw me out. The door slammed behind me with a finality that echoed in my chest, louder than any scream ever could. I stood there, 16 years old, shirt half untucked, palms shaking, trying to make sense of the silence that had replaced everything I once called home. It wasn't just that they believed Mark, it was that they wanted to. I banged on the door, fists hitting wood until they hurt. Dad, please, this isn't true, you know me. No answer. I slumped to my knees, forehead against the cold metal of the door handle, whispering, please don't do this. But it was already done. The locks clicked into place. I heard his footsteps fading. And then, nothing. I sat on that porch until the sun disappeared, until the streetlights buzzed on, until the last bit of warmth drained from the concrete under me. and I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. Eventually, I got up and walked. Nowhere to go, no money, no phone, no idea what to do next. I thought about my dad's parents. Maybe they'd help. I found a payphone, dug through my wallet for a single quarter, and dialed. My grandmother picked up. "Grandma, please, it's me." There was silence on the other end. Then, "We heard what happened. Your father called. We won't help someone like you." Click. I stood there staring at the receiver in my hand. Like if I held it long enough, the world might reverse itself. It didn't. I was officially no one's child. The streets are never quiet. They breathe, hum, and whisper things in the dark. Things you can't unhear. Things that crawl into your mind and nest there. I curled up that night behind a dumpster, behind an old liquor store. The cardboard under me smelled like piss and mold. I wrapped my arms around my knees and tried not to cry too loud. The next morning, I begged for food. People looked through me like I didn't exist. Some sneered. Some hurried past like I was a disease that might cling to them if they walked too slow. Eventually, a man tossed me a half-eaten sandwich and said, "Get a job, punk." I remember picking the lettuce off and pretending it was fresh. That first week blurred. My shoes wore down. My cheeks hollowed out. I learned where to find water, where the police wouldn't patrol too often, and which public restrooms were the safest to use. 2 weeks in, I stopped recognizing my own reflection in store windows. I wasn't a boy anymore. I was a stray. There were nights I didn't sleep, just sat under a bridge listening to the hum of traffic and wondering if anyone from that house even remembered my name. Mark and Lisa were probably off somewhere laughing. Ashley was folding laundry like nothing happened. And my dad? I imagined him watching TV, feet up, like he hadn't just tossed his son into the dark. One night, a group of drunk guys stumbled past me behind a diner. One of them saw me, pointed, and said, "Look, a street rat." They all laughed. He threw a beer bottle in my direction. It shattered near my leg. I didn't even flinch. That was the night I stopped hoping anyone would come looking. I was out there for 2 years. 2 years of being cold, hungry, hated, of being called names, of surviving off scraps, of watching other kids walk past in clean clothes, backpacks bouncing, laughing about tests and crushes. And me? I had nothing. No one. And the worst part? I started to believe maybe, just maybe, I deserved it. That maybe I really was broken, creepy, unworthy of love. Because when everyone treats you like you're invisible long enough, you start to vanish from yourself too, but somehow, some way, I kept waking up. Some small, defiant part of me refused to die. It's funny how one click, just one innocent little ping in your inbox, can drag 3 decades of pain back to the surface. I was in the kitchen when it happened. Just made coffee, the house was quiet, sunlight spilling in through the curtains. My wife was outside with the girls, laughing about something only they understood. Life felt peaceful. Then the notification popped up. From Emily. Subject: Please read Emily. I hadn't thought about that name in years. And yet, there it was, just sitting there on the screen like it belonged. I hovered over it. My finger didn't want to click, but my curiosity did. The message was long, messy, emotional. She apologized, over and over again. Said she finally knew what really happened. That Mark, drunk, loud, arrogant, had started bragging about it just last weekend. About how he planted the underwear, how he set me up, how he stole Lisa. She said he laughed about it, said they all laughed. Said they used to joke about how I probably died on the streets like a dog. But Lisa, his wife now, was there. And she didn't laugh. Apparently, hearing it out loud from the man she married was enough to break the lie she left. She called Emily, told her everything. And now here we were. Emily said she spent all weekend trying to find me, that she cried when she found my name, that she hoped I was okay, that I was happy, that she just wanted a chance to see me again. She said, "I can't undo what happened, but I'd like to make up for lost time." I stared at the screen for a long time. My coffee had gone cold. The birds outside kept singing, but inside me, something cracked open. At first, it wasn't anger, it was emptiness. Like I'd opened a door to a room I boarded up long ago, and now all the dust, the shadows, were drifting back in. I remembered the look in Lisa's eyes when she slapped me, the way my dad's hands dug into my arms as he threw me out, the sound of the lock clicking, the taste of rain in my mouth as I cried on the porch that night. I remembered every humiliating moment, every get a job comment, every look of disgust from strangers who didn't know me, but thought they did. And now, suddenly, they believe me? Now, after all these years, they want closure. They want peace? I closed my eyes and pressed my palms into my temples, trying to breathe. But the memories wouldn't stop. I saw my younger self, knees scraped from the sidewalk, staring up at a locked door, begging, bleeding, alone. And the worst part? No one ever came. No one even checked. They all moved on, built lives, had holidays and birthdays, while I scraped together food from garbage bins. I opened my eyes and looked around the room I now stood in. Framed photos of my daughters on the walls. The soft hum of cartoons from the living room. The smell of cinnamon rolls from the oven. I had built something. I had clawed my way out of the dark, brick by brick, alone. Until Amy found me. Until love found me. But now they wanted to knock on the door again. Like nothing happened. Like I hadn't spent years of my life learning to breathe without their air. And somewhere in the middle of all that spinning chaos, I felt it. That final click inside me. The one that said, they never really saw me as family. Not then. Not now. What they saw was guilt. Not me. And I realized something else too, something sharper. They wanted to make peace, so they could feel better. Not because they ever really cared about how I survived. Not because they loved me, and maybe that was the most painful truth of all. I didn't respond to the email. Not that day. Not the next. In fact, I didn't write anything for almost a week. I walked around in a fog, half in the present, half in the past. Watching my girls eat cereal, I'd remember the nights I went to bed hungry. Holding my wife's hand, I'd flash back to the feel of concrete under my spine, curled up behind a grocery store dumpster. My body had moved on from those days. But my bones never forgot. Every time I opened my laptop, her words were still there. We want to make up for lost time. We're sorry. Please meet with us. But they didn't want to make up for time. They wanted to rewrite it, make it cleaner, easier to sleep with. They wanted forgiveness not for me, but for them. And deep down, I knew. If I said yes, if I agreed to sit in some cozy cafe and nod politely through their rehearsed regrets, it wouldn't be healing. It would be erasure. So one morning, while the house was still quiet and the sun hadn't yet kissed the windows, I sat down at my desk and I wrote, subject, please read. From me. Emily, thank you for your message. I'm glad the truth finally came out. I'm glad Lisa heard it from Mark's own mouth. I'm glad you believe me now. But belief, 30 years too late, isn't a gift. It's a courtesy I was owed a lifetime ago. I was 16. I had nothing. And you all watched me disappear like I was never there. I begged, I cried, and your father, the man who was once my father too, slammed the door on my ribs and told me I wasn't his problem. Do you know what it's like to be 16, alone, and labeled a predator? To be hunted by whispers and condemned by silence? No, you don't. You were 12. You were innocent. And that's why I don't hate you. But I also don't owe you anything. I've built a life, a family. Love that runs so deep it doesn't need fixing. I'm not broken anymore. And I won't let you pull me back into the rubble. So no, I won't meet. I don't need closure from ghosts. I have everything I need, right here. Take care, me. I didn't cry after I hit send. I didn't tremble. Didn't second guess myself. Instead, I walked outside. The morning was cool. The grass damp with dew. And there, under the maple tree, my wife was sipping coffee in her robe, hair tied up, eyes squinting toward the rising sun. I sat beside her. Didn't say a word. She looked over, raised an eyebrow, and asked, "You write back?" I nodded. She took a slow sip, grinned, and said, "About damn time." And that was it. No confetti. No thunder. Just a quiet victory. and a peace I hadn't felt in decades. That afternoon, I took my girls to the gym where I used to work when I was 18, showed them the ring, told them how it saved me when I was drowning, and when one of them asked, "Why did you have to fight?" I looked down at my hands, then up at their eyes. Because no one else would fight for me. But now I'd fight for them, for their truth, their safety, their right to never feel unwanted the way I once did. And maybe that's what quiet revenge really is, not punishing the people who hurt you, but protecting yourself so fiercely that they can never touch you again. And this time, I didn't look back. Weeks passed. No reply, no follow-up, no surprise. I imagine Emily read my words, closed her laptop, and maybe cried a little. Maybe not. Maybe my father read the message too. Maybe he didn't. Doesn't matter. Because I finally understood something therapy never could teach me. Forgiveness is not an open door. It's a locked one, with your name on the key. And I chose not to give it away. Not to them. Not this time. The truth is, I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. I don't stay up at night imagining revenge. I don't have to. Because the best kind of revenge is a life well lived in the absence of those who once discarded you. Today, I watch my daughters chase butterflies in the backyard. I hold my wife's hand like it's the anchor to my soul. I go to work, wire homes with care, and build things that last. And I love harder than anyone ever thought I could. All because I learned, painfully, brutally, what it means to be unloved, and chose to become the kind of man who would never do that to someone else. So to my father, my stepmother, my step-siblings, you don't get a seat at this table. You don't get to rewrite the story. You don't get to call it love after 30 years of silence. You made your choice, and I made mine. I'm done looking back. Forgiveness isn't always healing. Sometimes it's just a way to stop the bleeding. Would you answer an apology that came 30 years too late? Do you think closure requires conversation or just peace?